think we've ever actually had a real break like that. That was a true break. We actually got disconnected, but we are back now. Welcome back. It is 6:03 a.m. on Monday, October 18th, 2021. It is another Mover Monday. How are you doing out there? How are you doing out there, you beautiful mover you? You beautiful mover you in this vessel that you are, that you live in, this window that you are, this window to this godlike experience in which you are. How is that window feeling today? Do you find it hard to get up out of bed in the morning? Or do you find it easy and effortless? Has it been easy for you to feel whole these days, or do you feel hollowed out? Do you feel taken along with the craziness that is the world today? Or do you feel grounded and centered? How has social media been for you these days? Are you a social media addict, or do you find yourself checking it only occasionally? Do you even have social media? Do you not have it at all? Wherever you are, whenever thou art, as we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning, I invite you to allow all of these words to go in one ear and out the other. Choo, bah, whoosh, or the other side, in one ear, whoosh, and out the other, woo. As we remember to feel the front of the shins and hold our controllers properly today, together. As we're supercharging not just our morning, but our Mover Monday, supercharging our entire week. Let's go. As we're holding our controller properly and calibrating our breathing and our alignment together properly, I invite you and challenge you to pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. As we are thinking about not exhaling or inhaling, but simply that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. As you leave your swallowing muscles alone, and thinking about anchoring the tip of the tongue to the back of the bottom front teeth. Are we remembering that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? Like it has a mind of its own or something? Yeah. Are we remembering that the tips of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth? And how much permission does our body give itself to that relationship? That the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Does that feel weird doing does that feel weird doing a few body magic tricks wherever you are? Whether you are hanging out with the friends and you guys are just talking and I'm just in the background, thank you for allowing this space, I'm honored. Or whether you are just hanging out alone, possibly doing some guided breathing alone, or maybe just working at the office or at a coffee shop or at home. Does it feel that your body gives itself permission to engage with these body magic tricks, or do you feel some sort of resistance? What might it feel like to have resistance in your life? To know that you yourself are not giving yourself permission for certain things in your life? Are we familiar with the idea of ourselves giving ourselves permission to act, to think, to feel? Do we often stop ourselves from giving ourselves permission to act, think, or feel? Might some things feel too scary, too damaging? Might they feel too painful to engage with acting on or thinking about or feeling? Why would we not give ourselves permission to do those things? Well, they might hurt to a point in which we feel we cannot overcome them. After a while of not being able to overcome pain, we decide to not engage with this pain at all. We give ourselves no permission to engage with this pain, whether that be acting towards somebody that gives us pain, whether that be acting on ourselves that gives us pain, or whether that be movements in the body itself that causes pain. With enough pain that we have no trust in being able to overcome, we stop giving ourselves permission to do those things, to keep hurting ourselves in ways that we feel that we cannot overcome. We disallow ourselves from giving ourselves permission to do those things, for there are other things in life to do, always. And we are always trying to guide ourselves so that we can feel better in life, always. Better objectively. How objectively? Well, doesn't your body want alignment in order to breathe as best as possible? And doesn't breathing ground all of your other experiences? So if you're breathing as well, doesn't it affect your entire spirit about a circumstance? Can't you feel better if you're breathing so well all the time? No matter what is happening, if you were able to remember or come back to challenging yourself to remember that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. How much permission does your body give itself to regulate itself that way, to feel better objectively in that way, by holding our controller properly together in that way? To feel better objectively, does our body give itself permission to do so? Why would it have not? Well, perhaps it was too scary. There was too much pain associated with it. There was too much pain associated with feeling better objectively. If we did not create a strong relationship with how to do so. We might have a pathway towards feeling better objectively, but if we have no relationship with that pathway, if we are not familiar with it, it might only seem like a tease. It might only feel like putting a screwdriver into a wound, as now you know that there's a pathway, but only are now further and further from achieving that pathway, as we had no guidance towards how to achieve that pathway of feeling better objectively, feeling better all the time. Well, can't we hold our controller properly so that no matter what happens to us, the good and the bad, it is being properly experienced by us with the best breath as possible, so we can learn as much as possible, so we're not afraid of the moment? As we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath, so aren't we so afraid of an improper breath? Isn't an improper breath life or death? As if it feels like it's going less than good life. And doesn't it feel like death? We live breath to breath, so isn't our breath so important to us? So much so that if there is no pathway towards achieving a better breath, doing whatever it is that we might want to be doing, do we give ourselves permission to do? Do we give ourselves permission to act? Do we give ourselves permission to feel? Should we not have a pathway towards feeling better objectively? What is that? Through the breath, as all of our moments are filtered through the breath. You can make a sad moment be happy with a proper breath. You can make an angry moment feel victorious with a proper breath. And vice versa, a victorious moment might feel like anger, and a happy moment might feel like sadness, should we have an improper breath. Do we give ourselves permission to achieve a proper breath? Do we give ourselves permission to feel better? Well, might it have hurt before to achieve this pathway with no guidance? As all these muscles and all these different types of awareness are all constricting at different times, not giving yourself permission, so there's no true alignment happening, but only conflict and confusion. But as we pretend that there's a candle in front of our lips that we're trying to not put out, not just you, not just me, but every person in reality, in this virtual reality in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath, I challenge you to hold the controller properly with me today. Why? To give ourselves permission to feel, act, and think most authentically today, by giving ourselves permission to do so. How do we do so? By getting out of our own way. How do we get out of our own way? By aligning the body properly out of the way of you so that you can act through your body. How do we do that? By pretending that there's a candle in front of not just your lips, but everybody's lips that they're trying to not put out. And they're not thinking about exhaling, they're not thinking about inhaling, simply just trying to not put this candle out. As we use those muscles that feel so forward and below us, do we get out of our way, out of our mind's way, pull our body out of our mind's way, as we remember that the back 1/3 of our tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. And remember that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Notice how far of the body that feels. Now remembering to remember to feel the front of the shins, and that you do not sit on your legs, as we're remembering to just allow this candle to flicker in front of the lips. Remembering that the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical, no matter what you are doing, whether you are drinking coffee, whether you're eating, smoking, not smoking, whether you are playing guitar, whether you are on the computer. I want to challenge you to integrate your experience with remembering that the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, no matter what you are doing. And do we feel ourselves giving more permission to ourselves to act and speak when, no matter what we are doing, we're remembering that there is a candle in front of our lips that we're trying to not put out? A candle in front of the lips of the person we're trying to talk to, of course, and they're trying to not put their candle out, of course. I challenge you, no matter what you were up to, whether you were ordering from the bakery or just alone, I challenge you to remember that the back 1/3 of everybody's tongues are vertical, up and down, up and down. And as the tip of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth, and we notice how far forward at the bottom that feels. How does that feel for you? As we are not doing much, really, just moving our self-awareness around and getting so rewarded for it. We'll be right back for the last quarter of the show. My name is Herbie. Good morning, everyone. We'll be right back on Pow Go On. Only if you give yourself permission to remember that you do not sit on your legs. Remember that the back of your calves, the back of your lower legs do not support your weight, but rather the weight of the body is delivered down the front of the shin. Even thinking about draping those fleshy, impressive calves of yours over the front of the knees might feel closer to the truth, so you can feel the weight delivered down the front of the shins. Right here, I'm right here. Welcome back to the very height of the show. It is 6:17 a.m. on October 18th, 2021. It is a Mover Monday. Today we talk about you The mover, amazing mover body of yours, you amazing window to this godlike experience that you are, you human being, you absolute mover. You are always moving, even when you are sleeping, even when you believe you are not moving. Your body is always moving in order to get breath, in order to get air and oxygen in and out the body, in order to move blood throughout the body, in order to achieve homeostasis throughout the body, the pressure of the inside of the body. Your body's always moving. You are always moving. What happens when we guide that movement down the proper channels to reduce any kind of conflict? Don't you become superhuman? Aren't you a superhuman already, you superhuman? How do we ensure that our body and minds give ourselves permission to do what we know we want to do? Why might it not have been giving us permission in the past? When whatever you want to do cannot be done without any kind of pain that the body is familiar with dealing with. When the body has a relationship with a pathway of decisions that are highly associated with pain, and not just pain, but the inability to overcome that pain, doesn't our body and mind begin to stop giving ourselves permission to go down that route, to pursue those actions, which bring upon to us pain in which we cannot overcome? Why might ourselves restrict permission from ourselves from doing things, acting on things, or feeling things, or thinking things? Well, they might have brought about too much pain that we didn't know how to overcome, that we couldn't overcome. After a while, you only grow faith in not being able to overcome that pain. You stop giving yourself permission to go that route, whether that be in your social life, whether that be in your familial life, your career life, your hobby life, or your body. There might be a direction in which your neck turns and that you stop giving yourself permission to go there because there is a pain that we didn't feel, that we were not prepared to deal with. However, to be your most authentic self, to be most happy, doesn't that require the most freedom in order for you to be your most authentic self? As we don't know what's going to come out of this amazing authentic self of yours. That's what makes it so exciting. And so if we want to be our most authentic self, achieve most freedom and be most ourselves, which means be most happy in life, be most loving in life, love ourselves most in life, love our situations most in life, love our life most in life. Don't we need a pathway to feel better all the time? Because wasn't that the reason why we stopped giving ourselves permission to go any pathway, whether that be outside of our body or within our body, like to move our neck or something? Didn't the pain become so repeatedly bad, and didn't we have no way of overcoming that pain so long that we stopped giving ourselves permission to go there, or it was fruitless? There's nothing to gain there, as we had already submitted to the idea that we cannot overcome the pain of going that pathway, going that direction. Although it may be the direction in which we've wanted to go. How else would we know that we don't want to go there anymore, other than trying to go there so many times and being denied or rejected, or feeling the pain of being rejected or denied about it? A pathway that felt authentic to you now brings about so much insurmountable pain, that we stop giving ourselves permission to go there, though it was so loved. Otherwise, why would we try to go there so often? As it is part of us, our authentic selves, and in order to love all of ourselves, we must allow all of ourselves to be authentically displayed. And how does that come to fruition? How does that come about? Well, through freedom. And how do we achieve freedom? By giving ourselves permission so that we can be ourselves, feel so good. But why'd we stop giving ourselves permission? Didn't it hurt so much to go somewhere that we thought we wanted to go, that we thought was part of us? Well, if we gain a relationship with being able to overcome that pain that felt so insurmountable before, what then becomes of this relationship that we so longed after within our own body, within our own lives, within the world? What then for the relationship with that pathway that we've desired for so long but felt rejected due to not having a pathway to helping with the pain? What then for that relationship that we so desired now that we have a way to deal with the pain if we are pretending that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, as long as every person in their perception, they are perceiving a candle that is flickering in front of their lips that they're trying to not put out. And they're not thinking about exhaling, and they're not thinking about inhaling. As they remember that the back 1/3 of their tongue is vertical, as long as yours is. And that the tips of the tongues wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Before you go on that pathway that felt so painful, before you go on that pathway that you wanted to go on, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten so much pain from this pathway, whether that be moving your neck, whether it be moving your arm, your leg. There may be a pathway that has felt so restricted due to pain that we didn't feel like we could deal with. Before we go on that journey, I invite and challenge you to align the body properly to deal with any kind of pain and to revisit this pathway that we so desired. How would we know there was so much pain? How would we feel so much pain from disallowing ourselves permission to go down a route if we had not tried that route many times? Before we go on that route, I invite you to prepare yourself to hold this controller properly, to get all the goods from this route as possible, to never be afraid of being unable to overcome anything ever again by holding this controller properly with me alongside all of us in this simulation of ours in which we die every 5 minutes, but that timer is reset with a breath. I invite you to prepare yourself to be able to handle any kind of pain, which means now you can love any kind of thing and give yourself permission to go any kind of where, because you can deal with any kind of pain. I invite you to deal with any kind of pain by holding this controller properly with us, as all pain is filtered through this body of ours, right? Let's hold this controller properly and deal with any kind of pain by pretending that there's a candle in front of our lips, and everybody's lips, especially the people that you're aware of, they're trying to not put out. And remembering that the tips of the tongue wants to be anchored to the back of the bottom front teeth. Follow along with me. Stay with me, but don't worry too much. All these words go in one ear, not the other, as we remember that the back 1/3 of the tongue is vertical, up and down, up and down. And remember that the weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. Always, always, always. Say it with me. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. One more time. The weight-bearing portion of the spine is the front. Don't just take my word for it, but how does that feel for you? As we're always just trying to be happy. As we're always just trying to feel free, to feel like ourselves. And doesn't it feel so good to be free in ourselves? To be yourself is to be free, is to be happy. To be our authentic self is to be happy. As we are being free, to be your authentic self, doesn't it require freedom to be our authentic self? And so don't we have to give ourselves permission, and wouldn't we only give ourselves permission when we feel ready that we can handle whatever may be coming? Whatever pain, whatever kind of imbalance, whatever kind of conflict that may come. When we feel confident to handle it, to feel better through it, would we not give ourselves permission to be more free? Permission to be more of ourselves? I want to thank you so much for coming through. It is another Mover Monday. It is 6:27 a.m. I want to thank you so much for holding this controller properly with me, you amazing mover, you. Whether you are on YouTube, whether you are somehow on DLive, whether you are somehow on Twitch, as those are kind of crazy right now, whether you came from Instagram, whether you came from TikTok, Discord, word of mouth, Twitter, TikTok. I want to thank you so much for coming through. I hope that you have felt so good from the inside out by holding this controller properly with us, and I challenge you to take this with you wherever you go. Subtly encouraging other people to do the same, just simply by virtue of mirror neurons, as they will be imitating you without even trying, just because we love each other so much. We are loving creatures, so we naturally sync up to a degree. So I challenge you to take it with you, not just take it from me. Please go light all those candles out there and let them rest. Do your best. Are you feeling the front of your shins? Thank you for all the love, comments, follows, word of mouth, subscribes, good words. Appreciate you very much. We will get to any chats, donations or chats or anything like that, or ice creams, what do you call them? At the beginning of the shows, in the middle of the shows, and at the end of the shows. You can catch us on Instagram and TikToks. We'll be talking very soon. There's a new world order. We'll see you guys on True Love Tuesday tomorrow. True Love Tuesday. Thank you for joining. My name is Herbie. Good morning, everyone. This has absolutely been Pagawan. We'll see you tomorrow, but only if remember that you do not freaking sit on your legs and light those candles out there and don't put them out. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. Shut your self-awareness like a muzzle. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.